Welcome back to another edition of X's and O's brought to you by Herd and Horns, and today we're talking all about MLB Opening Day. It starts Thursday, but we're going to start talking about it right now. A whole bunch of stuff happening. It's a brand new season. Eric, what are you excited about about this upcoming opening day?
I mean, it's opening day. What's not to be excited? And it's a little bit earlier this year to give the players a little more rest during the season, but I'm interested to see how that New York Yankees lineup does with Stanton, Judge, Gary Bird, just all those guys, and see how well they gel. I know Stanton and Judge have been smashing out home runs all over the place, but it's also interesting to see how the Minnesota Twins are going to fare with Ervin Santana being out for the first part of the season. We don't know how long it'll be. Time will tell, but that'll be an interesting storyline to watch.
Yeah, I think with the Twins, it's less about Ervin Santana because he's going to come back eventually, although we don't know how exactly long it's going to be. But I think the bigger story with the Twins is all the free agents they signed. They brought in so many different people, a lot of focus on the bullpen, but a little bit of everything in terms of the free agents they brought in, some of the trades they made. It's going to be interesting to see how those players performed, because you got Fernando Rodney brought in sort of as the closer, but he had a real rough spring training. And Logan Morrison, who they signed as a surprise, also didn't get a lot of time in spring training. Lance Lynn was only there for about a week or two, a couple weeks near the end of spring training. So a lot of these people, we don't really know what exactly they're going to bring to the table. Of course, you can go off of past years, past seasons to sort of hope that you're going to get similar production, but you don't know until the first games are played. And it's going to be interesting to see how that changes the dynamic of the lineups for the Twins, because there's so many good players that they brought in. Addison Reed is the setup man. How is having a veteran presence there going to affect the chemistry of the bullpen? Lance Lynn and Jake Odorizzi, of course. Odorizzi as the Twins opening day starter on Thursday. It's going to be interesting to see if he's going to be able to stay healthy and carry his success from 2 years ago and get past a bad season that he had last year that led to him getting traded for almost nothing in return. There were a lot of really good moves that the Twins made, but it's also the most expensive roster they've ever had in team history. So you're going to be hoping that a lot of these people you brought in are going to give you a lot of production in the output. And also they've never had they haven't in recent memory been using a four-man rotation, which because of the Ervin Santana trade, they're going to be forced to do so now. So I think those are some of the real interesting stories with the Twins.
You mentioned how Twins had a terrible spring training. I don't think spring training really matters on how well you do.
Yeah.
It doesn't even matter from a pitching standpoint. It's just you're knocking off the rust. Yeah, I know you report 2 weeks early, I believe it is, before the game's released. 2 to 3 weeks before the games really start, but that don't matter. It's not. The games don't even count. You watched on ESPN today, Mookie Betts was doing an interview while he was in the outfield, and he had his wireless mic on and IFB in his ear, and Chris Bryant hit a fly ball to him, and he's yelling on the air, "I ain't getting this one, boys!" And then the ESPN broadcast booth just starts laughing. It's all over Twitter. I mean, these games don't matter. The players, I think they're taking it. Are they taking them serious? Yeah. But it's just knocking off the rust, getting used to the new teammates, and everything like that. To me, when that comes down to it, I think the first 2 weeks, they matter because they're going to matter in the long run at the end.
Yeah.
But I think that's even still used as a factor to get teammates acclimated to each other, how well you all are going to do. You're still knocking off the rust, even though you're probably training all year long. It's because they all live down in Florida and all the warm places. I mean, I wish I could live there. Make millions of dollars and hit baseballs all day, have fun with that, and lift weights. I mean, it'd be kind of fun, but it'll be interesting to see what teams jump out to a hot start and then what ones falter right away but climb back up into it. Because you've seen teams jump off to a hot start and just take a dive bomb, and then you've teams jump off to a slow start and then they go up and win the division.
Yep.
Chicago Cubs last year.
Yeah,
Prime example.
A little bit of the Twins in recent memory, too. They'd always get off to really bad starts. But a good example of spring training not really meaning anything lately was Aaron Judge's numbers from last year. He came out of spring training hitting like 125, just barely making the roster because they didn't really have enough outfielders. And then as soon as the season hits, bam, he's hitting home runs left and right, and he starts out his historic season that he had last year. But when you look at someone like Aaron Judge, sort of a younger player, and compare him to someone like Fernando Rodney, who's 41 years old, looking to kind of get back into playing shape, and you have 7 ERA coming into the season, what do you think that really does to people's mindsets? And do you think it's an easy thing to sort of get past having a bad spring training once you get into the regular season?
I mean, it's all about your mindset up here. That's all that's going to matter. Yes, fans are probably like freaking out, like, oh my gosh, he had above a 7 ERA. I'm sure. I don't know if you're freaking out. I know you're a Twins fan, but are you really freaking out about that or not really? I mean,
a little bit. I mean, when players get older, you're just kind of waiting for them to have that season that kind of ends it. I mean, you look at Bartolo Colon. He was sort of the middle-aged wonder for the Mets. He was having some great seasons, and then all of a sudden, just last year, it stopped working for him, and he was cut, went to the Braves, went to the Twins over the season, spent a lot of time in the minors, and that's kind of where he finds himself now. Is once you get to a certain point, you're not going to be the same player you used to be. And of course, when you give like $4.5 million to a player, you're expecting a certain level of production, especially when it's from a position as important as a closer. So yes, I'm a little nervous, but I'm not super nervous. And one more thing about the Twins that needs to be talked about in terms of players who kind of had an uncertain spring training is Miguel Sano. It was announced this past Saturday that he was cleared of all of his charges and he won't be suspended by the league for the alleged assault. And how do you think that impacts the Twins? You get this dynamic player, a real young superstar who was an all-star last year, had an uncertain season, riddled with injuries the past couple of, the last half of the last season. How do you think having Sano cleared of any charges, recovering from his injuries, how do you think that impacts the Twins coming into this opening day?
I think they're going to want to take it slow with him. He's a potential. You could build you could build a team around him. You're going to want to build a team around him. He's young, along with Polanco and Byron Buxton. Mm-hmm. Along with him, you're going to want to build players around him. So you're going to want to take it slow. It's kind of like Clayton Kershaw. Would you want to rush him back from an injury? Mm-hmm. If you're the Dodgers, no. You're going to want to take it slow with him. But I think he's going to come back just fine. He's probably been working out on the side with his hitting coach, with the Twins hitting coach, and by him on his own and kind of hanging around the guys. But I think he'll be just fine. I know he's be riddled with injuries, but I think he's going to come back stronger than ever. I think he's going to have a breakout season for the Twins, and a lot of people are going to be shocked by him. He's got power. He's got that build where he can take one, where he steps into one. It's going to probably go 450 feet if he really wanted to, if he swung his hardest. But and as far as Fernando Rodney, I don't really take spring training into account. Yeah, you had a 7 ERA. A lot of people have a high ERA in the spring training because they're getting shelled, because they're not throwing. Yeah, they want to do good, but they're not going to throw their hardest. Why? Why get hurt in spring training when you got the big long season ahead of you?
Mm-hmm. And to sort of wrap things up, let's switch over to talking about your Brewers. Completely different story, a completely different division. Very competitive, of course, talking with the Cubs and sort of the revamped Cardinals. One of the biggest problems they have is their pitching staff. It was announced over the weekend that they were sending Junior Guerra down to the AAA. They cut Giovanni Gallardo, or at least they're trying to trade him, so they're sort of moving on from him. They've got some younger names. Woodyard, I believe his name is. Woodruff, yes. They've got some younger players, some inexperienced starting pitchers that they're working with, while players like Jimmy Nelson come back from injury. How do you think the pitching staff is going to play off of sort of the stronger lineup that they built with signings like Christian Yelich and Lorenzo Cain?
I think their pitching staff will be just fine. You got Chase Anderson at the top, Zach Davies, Hulis or Shashin.
Yeah, Chachin, yeah.
I don't remember the first names. I don't know why I can't remember the first names. But you got those two going day 2 or day 3. Anderson's your starter. Davies will be your 4. Suter, Woodruff will be your 5. I mean, Suter pitched phenomenal. He pretty much shut down in a Yankees lineup that was powerful last year. But who knows? I mean, I think they're going to be just fine when they come into the season. And it'll be interesting to see how. But the key for the Brewers is they got to get the bats going. Mm-hmm. When their offense is scoring, I think they opened up scoring 4 to 5 runs a game last year. That offense is high powerful. Christian Yelich, Lorenzo Cain, Ryan Braun, Eric Thames. Nobody wants to see Domingo Santana on the lineup because he's got power.
Yep.
Travis Shaw, Mayor Ding Dong City, Hernan Perez. Orlando Arcia, his bat started to come alive. And even Eric Sogard at second base, his bat started to come alive. Pena, their lineup is powerful up and down. Yeah, pitchers, yeah, you can hit. But if you can sacrifice a runner to get him to second base with no outs and you just sacrifice yourself for an out, that's still pretty good. And I think the Brewers have a chance to dethrone the Cubs, even though many people are picking the Cubs to win it with their all-star lineup with Yu Darvish.
Yep, well, it's a brand new season. Opening day marks the start of it, and we'll have to see what happens once things gets going. It's always a long season when it comes to baseball. Thank you for watching this edition of X's Nose, brought to you by Herd and Horns. You can catch it on YouTube or on our channel, Bin 484. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day.